is of its Metamorphoses, Lectio, Tertia. Saipe pater dixit. Dixit is my verb, so I'm going to go here first. He said, and we know that it's he because the nominative is pater. So often the father said. Now we're talking about the father of Daphne, Daphne's father, who is, as you recall, the river Peneus. And the father often said, Genera mihi filia debis, you owe, OST mustisant, you owe mihi, to me, a generum, and this is accusative, a son-in-law. Philia here is vocative, and so he's addressing her. Philia. Saipe pater dixit. Again, this is repeated, the exact same thing. Often the father said, debes. So using this same verb up here, debes mihi, you owe to me, nepotes. Accused of plural, grandchildren. Nata, nata. Again, this is another word for philia. Daughter. So this is the father saying this, and as you see here, he's repeating, and you see, so he's repeating this whole section, and he's doing kind of lobbying for this like, give me a family, you need to have offspring, you need to get a son, like give me a son-in-law, get a husband. And he's asking her for this, and he's repeating it here in this line, which shows his insistence. It shows kind of his nagging, and also exasperated by Saipe here. Often he said. So you get the sense that he's like asking over and over again. So what does Daphne do? What is her response? Okay, so the father and the daughter, it seems through the story that they love each other very much. And she, Illa, exosa. So here's her response when he says things like this. Exosa, hating. So she, Daphne, hating the Titas Eugales. These go together, the marriage torches. She is hateful of the marriage torches. She is hating the marriage torches. And obviously this is symbol for marriage itself. She hates the idea of marriage. Velut crimen, as if it were, or just as a crimen, as a crime. And so this is kind of showing us that this is how she sees marriage anyway. And she is pulchra ora. So her beautiful face, suffuderat, had filled in, verecundo rubore, with a modest blush. So her face, turns red, and she's not like angry, red in anger. She's embarrassed, right? With a modest blush. Inque patris blandis hyrens cervicala certis, and we're gonna look here. This in SNT equals ing. This is not your main verb, but it is a nominative singular. In S nominative singular, this refers back to her. This is Daphne still, and Daphne, let's see what she does. She is hyrens, she is clinging. It looks like the word adhere. She is clinging in cervicae, around the neck or on the neck, patris, of her father. And here, cervicae, this is obviously ablative case, and then patris, around the neck of her father. These two words go together, even though this one's ablative and this one's genitive. You put the genitive with the thing that makes sense, which is the neck of her father. And blandis lacertis. So I'm going to circle these twice just so you can make sure to know. These are ablative also, but these two go together because these are plural. Blandis lacertis, with her flattering arms. So Daphne clinging to or on the neck of her father with her flattering arms, with her coaxing arms. She said, she's going to say something. But before we go on to what she actually responds with her words, I want you to see just this word picture that you have, blondis lacertis. The two arms are going around the neck. Does that make sense? It's like the neck is in the middle and then her arms are going around, like even clinging around. And that's a really clear word picture. You could also say like around the neck of her father and include that with it. And then you could say like A, B, like the B's are the arms and then the neck of her father go together. And you could say that this is interlocking word order, AB, or synchesis. And that shows how close they are, how connected they are physically here as she's like clinging to his neck. And then also metaphorically, like she and her father are very close. So all of those things you could say, you could make that claim just from this text and to say like, hey, the way that Ovid positioned these words emphasizes how close they are. And here's what she says in response, da mihi perpetua genitor carissime. Genitor carissime, this is your vocative, oh, most dear father. Da mihi perpetua, da mihi, give to me or grant to me, frui. Now I'm going to go to my next verb, and this verb is, it's your infinitive. It's a deponent infinitive. That's why it looks kind of goofy, but you have for frui, this just means to enjoy. So grant it to me or give to me to enjoy. And the weird thing about the word enjoy is that it takes an ablative, perpetua virginitate. And these two words are going to go together. Give to me to enjoy perpetual virginity. Or grant it to me that I may always remain a virgin. Here's her next argument. Date it. He, she, or it gave. Pater. The father, Dianae, of Diana. And as you guys know, that's Minerva, goddess of the night or goddess of the moon, and Apollo's twin sister. The father of Diana, ante, before or in the past, dated hoc, gave hoc, meaning this, meaning like this thing that she had just talked about, which is to enjoy perpetual virginity. Hey, it's been done before among the gods. Please grant me this. Ille quidem obsequitur, just like a father who loves his daughter very much might do. Ille, he. Quidem is adverbial here. It just means certainly. Obsequitur, he obeys or he complies. He acquiesces. He complies. Let's stick with that. Obsequitur, he complies. Said, but now we're going to hear his argument against her or his response to her plea. Said, and this, you can actually kind of think of this as quotations, because when I read it, even though there's not like a Dixit type of word introducing said, it actually really makes sense. Sorry, I knocked the camera. It actually really makes sense if you conceive of this next line and a half as being what the father says. He certainly obliges, but this is what he says. De cor iste. And I'm going to kind of divide this sentence up here. Quod. Quod means which. So he's going to say something, 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 which blah, 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 something, something. If that makes sense at all. So quod optas esse. So I'm going to kind of block this off. Quod optas esse. I'm going to stick that little phrase together. Because when you see a QU word introducing another clause, you can kind of figure out like that clause says something. Clause is just kind of like a sentence. Like it's a whole thought. It has a verb, but usually it kind of clings into the middle of a bigger sentence. So here's what the father says. Decor iste. the beauty itself, vetat, denies, or this is where we get the word veto, denies or forbids, te, you, denies you. And now let's go to what's inside this blocked off part, quod optas esse. That which optas, you want or you choose, esse, to be. So this little segment here is actually kind of like a sentence within a sentence. Yeah, I'm gonna oblige. I'm gonna let you remain a virgin, but your beauty, the beauty itself, denies you that which you want to be. You will not remain a virgin forever. You're not going to remain unmarried forever because you're too beautiful. It's your beauty. It's not me that's forbidding you, oh Daphne. It's actually your form, your beauty. And it's kind of repeated here. Repugnat, something fights back or denies. Tua forma, your form, and literally like the form of her body. So you can translate this as her form, or her image, or her beauty. Forma can also mean beauty. Your beauty denies voto tuo, and these are ablative, your prayer. And repugnant, I do want to point out that these are dative. I mean, it looks like it could be ablative or dative. These are dative here, and here's the reason. Whenever you have a verb that has like a main verb idea plus a, what am I going to call this? Like a little prefix. A lot of times that prefix, when you build the verb, like a main verb plus a prefix, when you build a verb that way by adding a prefix to give kind of a nuance, like he's not just fighting, the beauty isn't just fighting, but it's fighting back, meaning back. That built verb most of the time is going to take a dative case instead of an accusative after the verb. So that's why this is dative. Your form denies your prayer. So now let's jump in and see what's happening in the story. Phoebus, Apollo. Okay, let's see all the things that he's doing here. Phoebus, amat, so he's nominative, amat. He loves, and cupit, and he wants. And what else is he doing? And he cupit, and he wants, and he sperat, and he hopes. And then here, the rest of this starts, this is plural, so we're going to kind of stop here. Just look at this first line and a half. Phoebus loves, and the que, the synclitic que, remember that just means and, going at the beginning of the word it's attached to. So Phoebus both loves and he wants conubia. This is marriage, and this a is neuter plural. He wants marriage. Visae Daphnes. Now I'm going to squiggle underline this so that you know these two go together. This is genitive of Daphne, and Visae, having been seen. So Phoebus wants, and Phoebus loves Daphne, having been seen. But here he wants marriage of Daphne, having been seen. The having been seen part is included because it's kind of like as soon as he saw her, like at first sight, he loves her and he wants to marry her. So the things, and this also emphasizes for us, like, oh, Visae, meaning like at first sight or at sight, as soon as he catches sight of her, that it's this impulsive thing, right? Like it's not her personality that's alluring him. It's her beauty, it's her image. And what he sees when he sees her, that makes him love her. That makes him want marriage of her. Quodque cupit. And also he desires, sperat, and he hopes, And now we're going to say that this little section is going to go off together, because now you're talking about another kind of sentence within a sentence. Fallunt, they deceive. And what are the things that deceive? Oracula, we're going to say the oracle, like the oracles, or like the oracle-ish things, the oracle powers. His oracles, his oracular powers deceive him. Oracula suaque. The que, as you know, just means and. So we're going to put an and right here at the beginning of this word. Sua, you're kind of like, wait, where does sua go? Sua and oracula go together. His own oracular powers deceive him. And remember, so this is Apollo. He can see the future, but his powers aren't working right now. For some reason, he doesn't consult his powers or tap into that, or maybe he can't see the future for himself, or whatever it is. If you look at the text, for whatever reason, his oracular powers are deceiving him. Utque. And now we're going to jump into a simile. Ut. A lot of times you'll see the word ut, or it might be attached to like well ut, which might be, or it might be attached to like sicut. It just means as. It can mean as in like or as, which is where we get a simile. Ut doesn't always mean as, but oftentimes it will. And when it means as, you know that the following lines are a simile, and that's what we're looking at now. As, so just as, I'm going to say just as, I don't know why I'm writing that. Saipes ardent, they burn. And saipes are nominative. These are hedges, like bushes or gates. This is actually the word I use for gate, but a hedge, like a row of bushes, basically, meaning like that might like line the side of a road, is kind of the imagery that we're getting here. Just like the hedges burn, facibus. So these are just torches. With torches, do you guys see those flames? Those definitely look like torches. Maybe if that's like darker, I don't know. Quas, so this is QU, like a question word, but it's in the middle of a sentence. We're going to use it as a which or a what or who. Here it means which, and I think that is referring back to facibus. Some people might say it's referring back to saipes. The AS shows us that it's feminine. Both of these words are feminine, so grammatically it's, open for discussion, but I'm going to say that it's the torches. Just like the hedges burn by torches or with torches, which forte, by chance, this is an adverb here, a viator, a traveler, which is a guy who's walking down the via. Just, excuse me, as a traveler, which just as a traveler, well here is going to be either or. It could be or this, either admoit nimis, he either moves the torches, nimis, too much, ad, and you see how like moit means move, but ad means to or toward, so it's like giving more, like it's informing the meaning of this verb. It gives it more meaning. It moves too much toward something, and the something is going to be the saipes. So like the torch of travelers walking down the road holding this torch, and by chance he moves it too close to the saipes. Well, and so what's going to happen? The saipes, the hedges, are going to start to burn, right? Like he touches the hedge with his flame on accident, it's going to start to burn. Or another, just as, just as he left quas, those things, and we can move like from here to the accusative, just as he left the torches, yam, already or just now, sub luce. And sub luce is ablative. It means under the light. And I'm going to say under the light, meaning like under the sunlight, which also means like if you're traveling at night, you need a torch to see, but basically like once dawn happens, once the sun begins to rise, you no longer need your torch, so you can set it down. If you set down the torch and it's still smoldering, then it can still catch flame to the hedge, to the bushes, which is what's happening. So here, that's your big simile. Actually, I guess this is your simile. Did I skip that part? Oh no, I think I did. Yeah, I totally did, but that's okay because I'm going to go back up and do it right now. And those lines can totally be interchanged. Utque. So again, over here, ut velut, ut sigut. So I'm going to say utque. The que is just going to be an and. So it's going to be like and just as. So it's going to also be part of the simile. Utque and just as. Lewe stipuli is going to be your nominative, just as light stalks. And this means like stalk of, you can think of it as straw, like hay. Just like light stalks adulentor are burned, or are being burned adulentor. Demptis auristis. So, and remember, this is like a very agricultural society, right? Like they're growing their own food, they're growing their own grain. Aristis means grain, or like here it's in the plural, so I don't know what you would, what's grain? What's the plural of grain? Like green pieces of grain? I don't know. I'm not a farmer. Let's see. I'm looking to the book to help me. Kernels, there you go. Just as kernels, dempties. Okay, so the lewe stipuli, the light straws, are being burned. Dempties aristes, with the kernels having been removed, with the grain having been taken away. So you have this idea that like in a field, you harvest the grain, you get the good stuff, you get the grain, the stuff that you can like ground and make bread, and then you burn everything else, right? And the lewe stipuli is just the straw that gets left behind that's gonna get burned. Oh guys, look at that, it's the straw that's left behind. Are you serious? It's another word picture. Do you love that? Okay, dempties aristes, meaning like with the grain having been taken away, so they're like taken away. Lewe stipuli are being left behind to be burned. Interesting. Okay, anyway, you can call that a word picture. You have just like that's happening. And just as the hedges are being burned with torches, which by chance a visitor moves too close, either moves too close to or leaves behind under the light. And we know that the lewe stipuli are being burned. Here we know that the cypes are being burned. So seek in this way, or thus. This is the word I use for yes a lot of times. Seek, thus, in this way. And that's to follow up the second part of the simile, right? Like this is just as blah, 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 blah happens. It's the same as seek when this actual thing happens in the story. So we're moving from the metaphor to the real thing. Thus, Deus, the God abiwit, goes away, or you can say transpired, or went, or passed in flammas, into flames. And obviously the god, masculine here, is Apollo, and he went into flames, not meaning like he burst into flames literally, but meaning that his heart is like inflamed with passion. You know what I'm saying? It's like he is moved to flames. He goes away into flames. Seek, thus, orator, he is being burned. Pectore toto, with his whole heart, in his whole chest. We would say, I guess, in his whole heart. And he also, I don't know if you guys have ever been in love or had this experience, but if you're in love and you're totally consumed in the flames and your whole, you're burning with your whole heart, a lot of times he would nourish sterilem amorem, his love, his sterile love. And the reason that you, oh reader, know that the love is sterile is because you know that Daphne up here is not going to be into it whatsoever. He nourishes his sterile love. And how does he nourish it? Sperando, ablative, by, and-do, this is hoping, by hoping or with hoping. So he plays it out in his mind, right? He imagines them together. What would she feel like in his arms? He loves her so much. And what is life going to look like now that she is his? And he like plays this out in his mind. And that's his hope, right? He continues hoping and hoping. And that's how he continues his love, even though it's sterile. Sad, the end for now.